And there we are. There we are. Good evening, everybody. This is Coach Terri Bryant. Welcome to Hits and Heels. This is Coach Cisco Bryant. And yeah, we are football coaches in Lexington, Kentucky, home of the University of Kentucky. Our son plays Kentucky, and Coach Bryant is an alum. And so today we're going to interview one of the apps, probably the GOAT of sports writing in the state of Kentucky, and he the reason why he's called the GOAT is because he's a seven time. That's like winning like national championships. He's like the 7-time sports writer of the year, right? And so that's like winning the state championship. I mean,
also that means he spells stuff right. I could never win because I can't spell. So that would mean that.
So we have a go. You know how we like having legendary people on our show, especially Hall of Famers and that type of stuff. And so we got another. So before we bring him on, what you got? Coach
No. You want to do because he's not going to be on very long.
Yeah,
because he's got to get up.
First. So we can go on the backside and talk about all the other stuff.
We can bring him on right now because he's getting up before
we got to get him off of here.
Yeah,
okay. So without further ado, let me introduce you all to Mr. Larry Vaught. Well, and Larry, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's interesting what you said about spelling because, see, I've been doing this for so long. There was no spell check when I started in newspapers. And if you misspelled a word and you saw it before it went to press, you had to go down and change the linotype, which people today won't even know what linotype is. But I mean, it was so if you got a word that you didn't spell right, that was a huge deal. So I did grow up with spelling. So thank you for saying that.
Well, and see, I knew how to flip it, Larry. Because, see, the great Mark Twain used to say, if you can't spell something 2 different ways, you have no imagination. So I use that in my education field that teach. I'm spelling it 2 different ways because I got imagination. So
yeah, well, that's a good martyr to have there, or a good man to follow is Mark Twain.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Well, Larry, you've been covering 40 years. Jeez.
50
years. I'm sorry, 50 years. Start off, like what made this be your profession?
Well, just remember, I'm so old. I covered Cisco when he was just a child.
Isn't that something?
Hold on.
And that's why I was so excited about getting you on here.
You see that?
Do you see that?
Oh yeah. What about that? Wow, that guy looked good there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I don't know, Terry. I like sports. I was not a great athlete. I liked writing, so I always liked writing in school. In the summers in high school, one year I interned or worked at the newspaper up here. You really didn't call it intern back then. I worked at the newspaper, and then when I was in college, my father had worked at the newspaper ever. He'd worked himself up from where he got out of high school, and he started as the janitor at the newspaper and worked himself up to where he became the sports editor. So I always had been around that growing up. Used to go to games with him when he went as a reporter and watch what he did and like that. But when I got to college, I said, no, I'm not going into journalism. For one reason, when you went to University of Kentucky in the early 1970s, to be a journalism major, you had to take 12 hours of a foreign language. And I said, there's no way I'm sitting through 12 hours of a foreign language. So I became a business major and then took my extra courses in journalism. But when I got out of school, I decided I knew you didn't make very much money in journalism. And I went into the business world and went to work for Rose's, and a department store at the time back in the mid 70s. Went to work in Shelbyville and liked what I was doing and had a great boss and worked there, started in, I guess in June. And by December, I knew, okay, this isn't for me. And I couldn't complain because I was working probably 65 hours a week as a management trainee, and you never left the building. I mean, you're inside one building for all those hours. I'm unloading trucks, I'm cleaning toilets. But again, the guy that was the manager of the store is doing the same thing. So I'm thinking, I don't know. I didn't get to go. I didn't go to a ball game for 9 months. I mean, there just wasn't any way you could do it because you're working nights and you're back in there early in the morning. And so I decided, what do I want to do? I knew I could go back to the newspaper in Danville and work and make no money, but I could be out doing what I really liked and be out around people, or I could stay where I was in retailing and make more money, but not be happy. So I decided to go back to work at the newspaper. And I think it took me 11 or 12 years at the newspaper to get to where I was making what I was making when I left Roses when I did. Fortunately, I had a wife that was in education, and so she just supported me basically for a lot of years until my salary got up.
I know that.
Man.
Yeah. See. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
it's a running joke, and I'm gonna slip it in before we leave. So.
okay, but
So my question, Larry, is tell everybody you're from where you went to what high school. I know, but some people.
I'm from here in Danville. I've lived in Danville my whole life, except for those few months I lived in Shelbyville. My grandparents went to Danville High School. My parents went to Danville High School. I went to Danville High School. My children went to Danville High School. So I've been admirals in my family forever. So that's kind of why I live right here in the middle of town, where my kids could walk to elementary school, they could walk to middle school, and they could walk to high school. So that was one of the reasons we bought a house where we did. So, and we've stayed here for 50 years. We haven't moved in 50 years and still like it here. So I like watching the kids walk by to school and everything. And I just love living in Danville. You know, a bad traffic day in Danville is when you catch all 3 stoplights downtown. That's a bad traffic day. And we're grumbling. It took us 2 minutes to get through downtown. You know, what's wrong with this traffic and all. So I just had some chances to leave, but just never really wanted to. And it's lucky because, you know, I'm close to the University of Kentucky. We also have Center College, a Division III school here that I love going. Yeah, I love going out and watching the athletes there because there's no scholarships involved. They're just playing because they love the sport that they're playing. And it's really fun to go watch them. Now, we've been blessed with a lot of great high school athletes from the different schools. I think at one time we covered 11 high schools in 7 counties when I was working. So I got to go out and see different people play all the time. And I was here when high school started girls basketball. I was here when soccer became a sport. And so I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of things over the years. I mean, I'm so old, I thought the invention of the fax machine was the greatest thing ever. I didn't say your life could ever be any easier.
Easier once the fax machine came.
Yeah, that I could call Louisville or Nashville or somewhere and ask them to send me something, and I could get it in an hour. I thought, my gosh, how could life ever be easier? So yeah, so I've been around doing this for a while, and like I say, I got lucky in about 1977, I think it was. Oscar Combs was starting the Cat's Paws and asked me if I would write a weekly column for him, and I said yes, because I thought that would give me a chance to kind of get some people exposed me to the University of Kentucky. And at that time, it was, you know, the Cat's Paws came out on a Tuesday or it was mailed on a Monday, then usually got to subscribers by Thursday, which meant the week before I had to type my column in Danville, just type it on a manual typewriter by Thursday, get it in the mail by Thursday night, and then Oscar would hopefully get it by Saturday so he could get ready to go in his publication. So now you could do the same thing. You could sit here 20 minutes before he needs it and email it to him. But times were a lot different, but it also made you have to think and be more creative. And I think made you a better writer and news person back then.
Well, I have a follow-up question, then the wife will answer another one. But the City of Champions, you grew up, family grew up, and you're known as the City of Champions. So what was your feeling when y'all went to that moment? Because I thought Coach this year did a very good job, and it looks like they're coming where they expect to be. Am I wrong on that?
They're not back, but they're getting there. Of course,
yes.
You face different challenges. They went through some administrative changes at the high school or at the school system where sports weren't a very big priority. And that was a huge mistake here in Danville because sports were important and they just about ruined the program. Now they got administrators and a coach that are bringing things back, but it's also a different time because you don't know if the players you got this year are going to be on your team next year or not, whether they're going to go, because it's so easy just to pick up and go somewhere. And some schools have more that they get than others. And that's just a fact of life. And you have to just fight to keep your players. And it's so that's made it a little bit harder, but at least Danville's back. I enjoy my son coaches there, so I
Yeah, I knew
enjoyed
that.
I enjoyed watching them. There's a lot of kids that face a lot of challenges out away from school, and I admire them for some of the things they have to overcome that they can't make excuses about. And you know that both of you all know what
Yes,
that is like, and so you kind of get attached to those kids, and you want to see them do well.
absolutely.
And sometimes when they don't do well, it's you feel for them because they really don't have somebody to kind of help them, pat them on the back, and say, it's okay, you did your best. Because if you don't win, in their mind, sometimes that's not your best at all. So
Mhm.
it's fun. It's fun to be around. But as you said, we've had so many good athletes, not just in our city, but when I was covering Harrisburg, and you went through some of those years with Alvis Johnson and some of the players that he had, including his sons. And then I was here when Lincoln County went to a state football championship for the first time, or they consolidated schools back in the mid 70s and went to the state basketball tournament the first year that they played. They had a basketball player by the name of Robert Johnson, and they played in a little bitty county school that probably held maybe 700. And Joe Hall wanted to come down and watch him play. And at that time, the varsity game would start like at 8 o'clock, and the gym would fill up by 6, and you couldn't get in. And Joe Hall came, and they weren't going to let him in because he didn't get there. Like they weren't going to let him. Say, "Well, I'm here to recruit." Well, sorry, coach, you can't get in. And finally, talked his way into the gym. But just so many things like that I've got to see and experience over the years have just really been fun.
Wow.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, Mr. Brown came on and he said, the great Larry
Hey, man.
Vaught, he said he follows you on several platforms, and then your input regarding UK sports doesn't go unnoticed. And you already mentioned Mr. Avis Johnson. He said, what does him and Mr. Lonnie Demery mean to you in your work as a journalist and as their friend?
Albus was just a special, special guy. I don't think we were about the same age. We had kids at about the same time. We used to, before we had kids, him and I would sometimes go out together and do some things that our wives weren't thrilled we were out doing, in places we were going. We used to like to go to the Red Mile, and Albus knew everybody that worked on the backside, I believe, ever groom, trainer, and we would walk those grounds and get those tips and, come back, and we loved doing that. And Albus treated me great. I probably loved watching him coach track almost more than football, because he loved track. And I mean, it didn't matter what a kid ran, he wanted to run faster or throw the discus farther or jump higher. And he really pushed those young men, but he wanted more for them than just to be great athletes. And I always admired him for that. I never lost track of that. And then Lonnie Demery was just special. I mean, I just loved that guy, and his love for the University of Kentucky football was, nobody had it like him. But just to sit and listen to Lonnie's stories, and a lot of times Lonnie would be at the same, we'd go on road trips, we end up eating together and hanging out together, and just having so much fun. And gosh, poor old Lonnie sometimes could be so gullible. And one thing I did, and I hope Lonnie, you'll forgive me for this, but we were at a basketball game at South Carolina, and that's back when Ashley Judd used to come to games really
Mhm.
regular. And after the game that night, she was back in the media room, and I was talking to her a little bit. And when it was over, Lonnie came up and said, "Oh man, I wish you'd introduced me." And I said, "Well, if you came up, I would have," and all like that. So the next morning when I get up, I think, and I knew Lonnie was leaving to go back to Lexington like at 5 o'clock, and I didn't. But I got up and I thought, I'm just going to call. So that's when we finally had cell phones, and I called him and said, "Hey, Lonnie, Ashley's here at the hotel. I'd like you to come have breakfast with us." "Oh man, Vaught, I'm already gone. I'm on the road. I can't." He said, "I'm only an hour and a half out. How long can she stay? I'll turn around."
What?
And I said, "No, you've missed it, Lonnie." And so, but as you know, that's just Lonnie. That's what, always call me Vaught, and that's what he just said. And also, but he loved football, and he loved watching athletes play. But I think he also helped teach me some about how to appreciate and understand off-field hardships that maybe especially some African American athletes had, that I didn't totally understand, because
Mhm.
I've never been in their shoes or never been in some of those situations. I even
Mhm.
think back to the times when Jack Gibbons and Reggie Warford told me some things about when they were at school at UK, and about some of the things that were going on. And I was at school just a few years before them, and never thought about it, because I lived in what was called the football dorm then. So there were some African American athletes in there with me next door to me. So I never, but that when they talked about some of the things they went through, I just never understood that. And so Lonnie helped open my eyes about a lot of things like that. Now Albus, he just didn't pay attention. He just expected you players that played for him, no matter what color, expect them to act one way and follow one set and just go. But Lonnie kind of helped educate me on some things off the field that I really appreciated.
Well, my relationship, you know what my relationship with Lonnie was when at the time I had 2 sponsors when I came out of, I love saying this tour, the Bowling Green High Purples. And when I came on campus, Lonnie was one of my sponsors. So when you're talking about him doing the UK thing, I had a visual of him in his little den area with all his papers. And before technology kicked in, and in the 80s, he'll be sitting there writing, just writing. And I remember his beautiful wife, you know, she would come in and he was like, I'm not done. You know, and so we had to stay in the kitchen till he got done.
Yeah.
And we had parties over his house, meaning birthday parties with our family. Lonnie would invite us over. Kenny Walker would come over because Kenny and I was very close friends. We still are, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he is highly missed, and anyone that didn't really get to know him, because I tell you the funniest thing is if he told you an inside scoop, I can say this now, he would call me and ask me. He said, "Now this is going to happen. Is that going to happen?" I go, like that. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I love him like a dad, and I would tell him if I knew it, I would say it. And then he never put me on a spot to say it unless he thought it was coming out. You know, rumor, he never did that. So he's highly missed, and beautiful words from you about Lonnie.
Yeah, very, very, very special man. And I tell you what, he always believed UK was going to win.
Yeah, no matter who was playing.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
But isn't that the whole fan base though, Larry?
No.
Isn't every it's not?
No.
Okay, help me understand the fan base.
If I could do that, I would be making a lot more money than what I'm making right now. But I think it's got a little tougher year after year, and I think social media has created a lot of that. I mean, in high school, as you all know, it's getting to the point now that there's more and more people, and it's usually not the athletes; it's usually the parents that get more upset and second guess. I mean, it used to be if you had a winning team, that was enough. But now you have to have a winning team, but everybody has to get certain amount of touches or do certain amount of things, certain amount of points, whether it's high school or college. And then I think the fan base now, especially with the NIL coming into play, don't understand it, don't know who's getting what. So your imagination kind of runs wild, and now you feel like it's easier to criticize. I mean, I know the Kentucky basketball team didn't play very well last night. In fact, they played pathetic. I thought no intensity, no heart. But then I look up and I'm getting texts. Well, maybe Pope needs to go. Maybe Pope's not the guy we thought. I mean, 5 games into his second season,
5 games in, they're already ready for him to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and 4 weeks or 3 weeks ago, beat Purdue in that exhibition game, and people are buying the Final Four tickets.
Right.
So it's just a crazy world that we live in right now. And I know athletes are under a lot of duress, a lot of pressure. Some handle it better than others. Some coaches handle it better than others. But the good thing about most fans, if you win, they jump right back on there. They're right back on there. But I also think
look at football right now.
Yeah, yeah.
When we was 1-5, everybody was ready for a crucifixion.
Okay, but in my blessing, I've been on this earth, and you too, as well. But that's your emotion because of what you are passionate about. I think some fans just want negative. It doesn't matter if Coach Stoops wins out. You won't hear from them because they have nothing negative to say. And my question to you, I didn't mean to make a sermon, but my question to you right now is, you're looking at Coach Stoops. You think that a lot of fan base has negative toward him because of the Texas A&M thing, and they haven't forgot it? because I couldn't imagine my beautiful wife looking somewhere else. You know, I'd be like, what?
I can't imagine why she hadn't looked somewhere else.
Hey, I wasn't a punter. I was a receiver. I did not kick my covers that bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
True story.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, what do you think about that? I just, you know.
I think it amazes me. And of course, I go back, way back where 10-win seasons were, I saw one in 1977 when I first started working. I thought, well, that won't be so bad. Kentucky will have a lot of 10-win seasons. Why'd I go 40 years before I saw another one and all like that? And same with 7 and 8-win seasons. But I've been amazed that even on our Sunday morning show that I do with Anthony White, that we've had some fans call in disappointed that Kentucky. Yeah, that disappointed that Kentucky won one of these last couple of games, because now it's going to mean that Mark Stoops is going to stay, and I mean that just sets Anthony goes nuts. And but I understand. I said, "What, you don't want your team to win?" So the players are out there playing. I mean, they're not worried about that. You want to try to win. So I don't quite get. I know some people or some fans are disappointed, and you think this and you think that, and I've got to admit, when they were sitting there 2-5. And you didn't know how they were going to finish, I thought, well, this might be time that change has to get made. If you go 4 and 8 last year, and then if you go 3 and 9 this year, then maybe you have to. But now you're up to 5 and 5, and I think they're going to win at least one more this year. And so, I mean, that's going to get you up to bowl eligibility. And when the season started, you're talking about playing the third hardest schedule in the nation. You've rebuilt your offensive line. You thought you brought in a quarterback that could save things. That turned out to be a mistake. The only blessing was, and I hate to put it this way, but he got hurt to where you had to go ahead and make a change, and you got Cutter in there, and so, well, let's go with Cutter, and now your things are kind of picked back up and all. So if they finish this season 6-6, I would really like to know how many people that are criticizing Mark Stoops even pick Kentucky to win 6 games this year. Because there wasn't many.
There wasn't many people that thought that they would win 6 games.
But
definitely wasn't 5.
But Coach Vaught, Mr. Vaught, and Coach, here's my question. Sometimes I think some fans, when I talk to them, and I'm out and they find out that I'm Ty Bryant's father, and which is a flattering thing. Aren't you Ty Bryant's father? Yes. You know, I play. Okay, but the flattering thing, the most irritating thing to me, what's up, Mr. Dunn? The irritating thing to me is some people are never going to forgive that he was just going to leave us. I mean, he could win 7, 8 games. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to be real honest with you. That bothered me only because I've been in the same room with him. We broke bread with him. And it just, and I am, you know that.
About loyalty.
I'm about loyalty.
Yeah.
You know, I use loyalty over everything else. And I think a lot of the bickerment, to me, from my perspective, and I may be wrong, is people haven't forgave him. It doesn't matter if you give him the smallest negative, you're going to jump on the negative. I mean, am I wrong? Do you feel like that I'm off base?
No, I don't think you are. I think a lot of people have felt that way. I guess I've got so used to where coaches have always, if they get a better opportunity, they're just going to go. At least now.
Well, the way you go.
Pardon?
I mean, it does matter how you go. Like I was going to break on my notes. I wrote down, which we don't have too many. They scribbled just 4 little lines. You know, like Ole Miss coach right now. You know, they get an ultimatum. I mean, I don't think you should give a coach an ultimatum if you want him to stay. That's just me. Excuse me, sweetheart. If you don't wash the dishes, we're done. Deuces. That's what she would say to me.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And also, so yeah, and everybody handles it different. And I guess part of what has changed my thinking over the last few years, because I'm a big on loyalty, just like you are. But I worked somewhere for 41 years thinking I was going to be working there forever. And then I wasn't working there. And they're
Mm,
because I found out the loyalty just went one way. It went, but then when the different set of people bought the newspaper and new people came in, that loyalty that I'd had to that organization for all those years really didn't matter because the new people there, they weren't loyal. So I guess that
Okay.
has tempered mine a little bit, but I do think you are very right. There's different ways to do it. But even though I don't know that you can ever leave in a right way because you're going to have guys that you have recruited and people like that you sit down with you and say they're going to take care of your son, and then next year they're up and gone. That wouldn't sit well with me at all. But it's I guess probably that athletes handle it better than the adults do. Maybe sometimes like that, and especially now that they can do the same thing because when the year's over, every
Yeah.
coach and every player on the team could leave if that's what it gets to. So, but I do think you're right that people that Stoops doing that, and then the comment about that people needed to pony up
yeah.
and get them. That is going to haunt him forever. I think what he was saying was right. He just used the wrong words to
Mhm.
try to say it. But Mark's got a lot of strengths. Public
Yes.
relations is probably not his number one on his list of strengths that he has and all. And that's sometimes he just kind of, especially when you can get him worked up, he'll just blurt it out what's right on his mind instead of thinking, how's this going to say? And wish you could have a do over. And that's just how Mark is. One of the things my father taught me when I first started working, and I don't think you all would like this, was that after a game ended, never hold anything that a coach or player says to you the first 20 minutes after a game's over against them, especially if they lose. Because said the emotions are going to be really high and they might
Mhm.
say things. And he said sometimes you might just have to be smart enough to know that even though they told you that, it would make for great copy. Don't use it because if you gave
Mhm.
them another chance the next morning, they probably would say it different. So don't just hang them
Mhm.
out to dry. And I've always tried to remember that over all these years. And I think maybe Mark sometimes needs a filter on him that would say, "Well, let me stop. Let me answer that in the morning." But you can't do that. But I think those two things, the maybe leaving for Texas A&M and the pony up comment, and then going 4-8, you combine all those together, and it really has worked people up. And now, even though you've won three in a row, and you have things going back the right way, because to me, the 4-8 season, yeah, it bothered me, but what bothered me more was I didn't think the second half of the season a lot of players played very hard. Just looked to me like they couldn't care. They
Especially
just
that
didn't seem.
Louisville game.
Yeah.
So,
Now this year, I think even when they've lost, I don't think it's been because of lack of effort. Maybe lack of execution or a missed tackle or something. But I never thought it was a lack of effort.
yes.
Mhm.
Well, because that was one of the biggest things I had to say to somebody as I was picking up doing something, and I said to them, I said, the funniest thing is if you watch a lot of the SEC games, before the defense walks on the field, we're already behind.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I
Especially
guess
that South Carolina game
myself as a coach, myself as in the Tennessee game,
and the Tennessee
yeah,
game.
myself as a coach, that's what I'm seeing. But I have to realize that a lot of people don't look at stuff in that matter, because I'm looking at if you beat me 30-0, how did you beat me 30-0? I'm not looking at 30-0. And let me go back to this, guys. This last year, last season, excuse me, when we went 4-8, we weren't supposed to. We were supposed to have a major winning season with a lot of players. And I said this before, and I've said it many times. Sometimes players has got to step up and make plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched some teams, Texas punt returner. That ain't coaching. That's him saying, I'm going to make a play.
Yeah. And he
And
made two of them.
he made two of them. But then that last one was big time because
Yeah.
we had a guy right there. And he didn't clamp up. He made plays. So this weekend we played Vandy. What do you feel about that game as I feed into that? Now hold up, everybody. Get your recorder out now. This is good stuff right here.
Well, I've if 3 weeks ago I said no chance because I just didn't think Kentucky could have had enough offense to stay in the game. Now I think the defense, and I still believe this. I don't think, and Pavia worries me because he's really good. He's really fun to watch unless he's playing your team. I think he's really fun because he's just cocky enough and arrogant enough, but he goes out and backs it up
You
with
know,
what
he's
he does.
completing 73% of his passing.
Yeah, and that's what I say. You can be cocky when you do that. So, and they've got a tight end that might be as good as anybody in the
Two.
nation, and
They got
also,
two.
but the
Yes.
one Stowers is really special, I
Oh,
think.
he's special. He's
Yeah.
special. He's a first rounder.
So you're not going to win this game 10-7, I don't think. So you're going to have to be able to score. And I think if Kentucky just doesn't give away points, which goes back to kind of what you're
Right.
saying, and can rely on the defense, then I think they've got a chance. I think, to me, they'd probably have to win like a 24-20, 24-21, 27 type thing. Because I don't think
Mhm.
Vanderbilt will go up and down the field. And when Auburn was able to score 35 points against Vandy, that made me feel pretty good knowing that Auburn couldn't hardly even get a first down against us.
Mhm.
So I like. I mean, you're a 10-point underdog for a reason. Those guys in Vegas, they do what they do for a reason. They're right an awful lot of times. But I think going into the fourth quarter, Kentucky will be in a position where they'll have a chance to win. Then then I think it comes down to what you said. Who makes that play on
Plays.
defense, or who makes that play on offense that separates
Mhm.
winning by 4 points instead of losing by 6 points or something?
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Brown said UK 38, Vandy 31.
Well, if UK scores 38, I'll say right now, I think they win. I do think that. I just don't know that I think they'll get to 38, but I hope that they do.
Well, one of the big things to me with Vandy, and I heard I was sitting at work doing some paperwork at night, and I'm sitting there at my desk and I'm punching up, and I actually saw. Was you at Coach White, the defense coordinator? Was you at his press conference?
I was not today, no.
Yeah, and he made a point that it's why Vandy does so well, because Vandy will run a totally different offense against you. So that their coaches do a very good job of saying, and my wife said this yesterday, Coach Bryant, she said this. She said, so they just wait and look at your defense and put in a new offense. It's similar, but it's not the same. And they said, and that's very good. And then I found out why, because their whole offense is seniors that's been together for 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And that makes a difference.
That makes a huge difference. So how do you feel about that going up against with the injuries we have in the defensive back area?
Well, you're supposed to answer that for me because you're supposed to have the insight on that. But that's one thing, and I hated to bring it up, knowing your son's back there in that group. But when I saw that injury report today on the defensive side, yeah, they survived against Tennessee Tech, but this is a whole different
This
area.
is a whole different area right now.
I'm
These
glad
next
some
two
of those,
games.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad those guys got a chance to play. But that's a lot of people that are out. But as you said, it gives some younger guys a chance to get in there and be able to make some plays. And I don't know whether Alex Safari is going to be able to play. I think he was listed on the questionable
I think I'm
list.
still questionable.
And if he plays, I'll feel a whole lot better. I really like watching him play.
Yeah.
Never have to worry about his effort either. But without him, I mean, you just have to go out there and do it. That's why I think they'll have trouble stopping. They're not going to hold Vandy to a touchdown, I don't think. But I also don't think Vandy, even then, I'm hoping Brad can make some adjustments and they can do some things, or maybe somebody back there at safety will make an interception or two again, or something like they have a few times. But I think they're probably going to have to get a couple of stops that way, where they not only get the stop, but maybe they turn them over. And then, as I said, the offense has just got to avoid giving Vandy any points. They just can't. Cutter just can't throw a pick six, or they can't fumble deep in their own territory, or something like. You just can't make Vandy have to earn everything they get. Now, the good thing about it, even though it's a road game, I don't think it'll be a huge hostile environment or anything like that. I think there'll be a lot of Kentucky fans there again now, which maybe 3 weeks ago there wouldn't have been, but I think there will be now. And so I still think they've got a good chance. I don't know that. I mean, Vandy's what they've done the last 2 years. You can't just ignore it. But I think the Kentucky right now is so much different than Kentucky a month ago, because at least they've got some offense. And I would think if I'm playing defense, suddenly I think, well, if we happen to slip up and make one mistake and they do score on us, the game's not over. Where back in September, if it got to be 10-0,
it was a wrap.
I
could just start writing my game story because it was done.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. I look at the football program in the beginning, it's the same thing as a basketball program. What I tell people when I view it, Maybe I'm looking stuff in different view. I would say she tells me how that. Okay, you cannot have 51 new players and everybody's clicking in the system. It's the same thing with the basketball program. You can't do that. I don't care how good they are. I've coached 39 years. The greatest teams I've ever had is repeats. Okay, when I get brand new players and I'm trying to get them to buy into my system, they gonna go, yes, sir, coach. Okay, so coach. And as soon as they walk off the field, they're going, why ain't I playing here? Why ain't I doing this?
Yeah.
And I try to tell people that it sounds good. It sounds like a video game that I'm playing, that I'm plugging in people, and everybody says, okay, coach. And these generation of these kids is different than my generation. It was about the W. Let's win.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
am I hitting up a good point there?
Oh, you're preaching to the choir here. I just don't know that it's ever going to get him in when you can sign basically unlimited players as freshmen now, and you can bring in the transfers. I mean, I've been a big for the last few years. I've just wondered how you could ever have a really good offensive line when you just keep plugging in transfers. And my opinion has been if a offensive lineman is transferring, there's a reason because he's really good. That school's not going to let him go because they're too hard to get.
That part.
But I'm
no
also
D,
think
no D lineman and no lineman going nowhere.
Going anywhere if they're good.
And I'm also thinking if I'm a young offensive lineman in Kentucky and I'm trying to grow and develop, but then every year you're just bringing in 4 more guys and plugging them in. Why am I maybe working so hard in the weight room? Why am I working so hard on the field? Why am I staying here? If that's what it's so I think there's some of that going on too. But I'm with you. I'd like to see them be able to kind of keep and retain like when John Schlarman and play more guys and develop guys. So you've got people, you're not just playing 5 guys, you've got some people in there that are used to what they're doing. And the offensive line has been better this year than what I thought it would be, to be honest. I mean, they've done an adequate job. I think what Cutter's accuracy and Seth's hard running has helped. I think Kendrick Law kind of emerging as that go-to receiver where you can throw it to him when everybody in the stadium knows he's going to get it and you can still throw it to him. I think they've got that. But again, I'd like to see them develop some offensive linemen, but I'm just afraid when this year ends, they'll just go right back out there and go to that transfer portal again and bring them in because these younger offensive linemen they've got, they're not getting a chance to play any.
And I think part of that is, sometimes you just I think, like I said, NIL is kind of hurting that too, because I think sometimes it's easier for the kids to go and get paid someplace else or get an offer someplace else. I know personally of a player that was looking to stay, but then got lured with more money to leave. So they chose the money to go. So we're it's time for us to let you go.
We still got 1 minute.
In this last minute.
1 minute.
In this last minute.
Hey, no, I'm just saying that in a compliment. I'm honored to have you on and appreciate you staying out with us. But we're going to get our extra minute in. All right.
In this last minute, I just want to thank you because you have probably covered Ty more than any other sports writer. And all of the articles that you put on Ty have been absolutely amazing, and they are absolutely perfect for our scrapbook, for us to be able to go, 10 years from now or 15 years from now, hope God willing that we're able to go back through and reminisce on this journey that we've had because of the writings and the write-ups that you've had to jog our memory about just how great Ty's career was here at the University of Kentucky. And so I just want to make sure that just from the bottom of our heart that we are so thankful and grateful for you that you taking the time out, that you could cover anybody, but you really taking the time out to cover our son while he's been at Kentucky.
Well, he's just one of those special people. I loved talking to him in high school. Loved getting to watch him play. One of the hard things I have with the way things are set up at big time schools is like you cover somebody like Ty or Cutter or somebody. You can go in high school and you can talk to them anytime you want to. You can go to a game, talk to them after the game, call them on the phone, talk to them, do all the stories you want. Then you get to UK and you have to go through 37,000 people to be able to get to talk to the same people that you talked to when they were 15 years old.
This year, right? Didn't they?
Pardon?
Because I've heard other media people say that this year was horrible, that they couldn't talk to them at all.
There's specific times in the week that you can talk to them for a few minutes after practice, and then after a game they bring players. But it's not like back in the day when you played. If I want to go in after a game, and anybody that played I could go in, just walk in, talk to them. Now there's only certain players, and I couldn't just, like, if tomorrow afternoon, if I couldn't just text Ty and say, hey, you got any free time this afternoon? We could work on a feature story. And he says, yeah, I'm free at 1:30. Well, no, you can't do that. So it makes it hard when you're used to talking to them and all. Like, I know it's hard on them too. So, but hopefully here in the off season, we're hoping we can work out a way to get Ty back on radio with us, because he's so good at that.
He is.
We're about to let you go, but I'm going to end on a negative. The article you did, that's me making the catch, against Georgia. But you talked to Joker more in this article. I didn't realize that. You talked to me. And Joker actually is coming on the show next week.
Well, you just tell Joker. I'm pretty sure because he was probably better quote maker than you were at that time.
So it's been a long time since I read the article, so I took it out of my little scrapbook. And I say this, and we're talking about the scrap. Ty has never seen my scrapbook.
Really?
He has never seen it. I never talk about when I played. There's no pictures in my house of me. He's never. Only thing I ever said, I made one little comment to him, and then he just looked at me and said, give me time, coach. Give me time, Pops. And what it was he was getting these awards, and I said, we'll see how good you are if you make all decade. Like that, because I was all decade of the 80s. And he looked at me and said, just give me time.
Yeah. Well, you need to show it to me. And I tell you one thing about Joker, I love that guy. I loved him as a player. Loved him as a coach. And when he became the head coach at Kentucky, and I was able to get hold of him, and I came over and was going to sit down and do an interview with him. I got to Lexington, and guess what? He stood me up. He forgot he'd gone out recruiting somewhere and forgot. But you know what he did? The next day, I get a call from the UK football secretary here at the house saying, are you home? And I said, yeah. She said, are you getting ready to go anywhere? And I said, no, but why does that matter to you? Because she said, Joker will be at your house in 45 minutes. I said, what? I said, he said he feels terrible about yesterday. He's going to, I said, well, I can just talk to him over the phone. She said, no, he said, you came to Lexington and he missed, so he's coming to Danville to see you. And he did. And I never forgot that. That was one of the.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's first class.
That's first class. I mean, he's a great guy. Like, he'll be on our show next week.
Yeah. And there's another good, I see where Carl Keenum is talking right there. I mean, when Kobe committed to Kentucky, it was so nice to call and talk to them. And I don't know who at that time was more excited, Carl or Kobe. And I kind of keep up with Kobe now. I saw he made.
I think Carl was more excited.
Carl, our guy.
Did you see that play that Kobe made last week when they gave up an interception?
Yes,
he chased that guy down and made the tackle.
Yeah, looking like a DB instead of.
Yeah, he did. He was flying. He was flying.
But here's the thing is, we missed them.
It's 9:44.
Yeah.
But we missed them. Yeah, we missed them. But those are some of the players we wish we had to figure out how to keep them.
Well, they're our friends,
and they're our friends for life.
We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on, and I really mean that, Larry. As a friend, and I call you my friend, and I always have. And thank you for your love and your loyalty.
Well, I always appreciate you guys. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Larry.
Good
night.
Good night. Hey, one of the top.
My God.
He's big time.
He's big time.
He's big time.
What an honor to have him on our show.
Yes. And let me let people understand this before we go off. Yes, this was not 20 days down the road. This was actually a couple of days ago that I called him and asked him if he would come on. And the same thing next week with Joe Phillips out of Franklin Simpson and former UK superstar and then NFL and then college guru. And we're always very honored when they come on. We really are. And So sometimes they get an opportunity to say stuff that a lot of people don't know.
Don't know. Yeah, absolutely. Like I think everybody that's came on the show. And then Mr. Brown, I didn't get a chance to, we ran out of time, so I didn't get a chance to really give him my signature question. I love asking people, what with him being a sports person, I would love to ask him again, what has he not been able to say?
But hold up. But see, this is called technology.
No.
So what it is
we'll bring him back.
We'll bring him back right at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then he can say something for 10 minutes. And then he can go
get
off.
Yeah. And we'll do that next time we do just a show with just me and you. We'll just do a
because I want to know what is his biggest. I mean, I had a lot of more questions. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah, a lot more questions. Yeah, Mr. Brown, thank you, but yeah, I still got a lot more questions. So I mean, Larry's one of them people we need a 2-hour show.
Well, we might have to change the time for it.
Yeah, we might have to go earlier, do it 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock and go all the way until he's done. Because and we say that very humble because he's a great guy and his knowledge of being in this situation for as long as
and then all the coaches. I mean, look at how many coaches.
I want to ask him which coach got his
nerves the most. Oh, I know. That was I think that was on my list of questions to ask him too. Was
which coach did you go? Oh my gosh! We all do that. So real quickly.
So Carl Keenum, what's up? And listen, we saw Kobe making that massive tackle where he ran downfield looking like he was a DB and walking people down. Kobe said he's fast like his mama. Carl's so crazy.
Hey, we don't get no love.
We miss you guys.
We miss you. And who we speaking of is Kobe.
Kobe Keenum.
He's
number 50.
Play for he's from Alabama.
Yeah, Florence, Alabama.
And then he was here, and then he transferred to Mississippi State. And he was Ty's first roommate as a freshman. And I'm gonna tell you, their freshman room was tight. It was nice. I mean, it was luxury 4-and-4. And the thing that Kobe loved to do, and he loved to hunt.
Hunt fish.
And that he loved it. So anyway, that's like my wife said, that is definitely a nephew for life.
Nephew for life. And friends for life.
And friends.
I mean, I think one of the, with this season, coming to an end, I'm kind of feeling some type of way because it's hard to believe that next season is getting ready to be Ty's senior year.
I still remember, when it was raining and taking the stuff into the dorm room as a freshman, and then it goes back to Kobe, same thing. So switch it over.
Okay.
What did you think about as we have a few more time to just you and I chop it up?
Okay.
What did you think about Notre Dame in front of Alabama and Texas A&M in the poll?
In the college football playoff pre-poll.
Because it matters if you're in the top 10. It matters.
Yeah.
It matters when
because there's seeding and stuff, and where you are on the bracket is a big deal depending on who you play. But I think that's what happened last year. Like whoever pulled Boise State, who was that other team that we was like, I felt like I had no, and you won home game. To me, that had no business being in the top 12. I think with them being in the championship game last year gives them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. Does that make sense? I think they're giving them the benefit of the doubt because they were in the championship game last year.
Well, and plus they're Notre Dame.
And they're Notre Dame.
Go Irish.
Right. And I think that with it being Notre Dame, and they're getting the benefit of the doubt, it just, I don't know, it just brings notoriety and it brings a lot of people talking. Who else was on there that you thought was a surprise?
Well, Notre Dame has
influence from board members. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, and the bad thing is you got the president of the commission. I don't know what his title is. He's the lead person for the. He's from Arkansas, and so
he's maybe. Do you think he's partial to the SEC? No, is that the reason why so many SEC teams are in?
But here's the problem: is he's not partial for the SEC. If he was, then Notre Dame wouldn't be in front of Alabama because that's haterism.
Gotcha.
That's some hating.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's the thing you got to worry about. If you got somebody in your conference, they don't like you for real.
Yeah.
I mean, because Arkansas has been in the SEC for a while, and I remember I told you this story. I never forget. We're playing a football game. And then it's basketball season. There's 2 SEC schools there, and that's what I try to make people understand. There's 2 SEC schools there. We go up in Indianapolis, the fellas. We all walk in, and that SEC school is losing. I'm clapping. And this gentleman turned around and said, "We don't do that." Well, brothers, here in the SEC. Now, that's back in the day. I don't think Arkansas was in the SEC then. And that's where the term SEC came from. I can fight my brother, but if you touch my brother, I'm going to fight you hard. And that's the pride of being in the SEC.
That was a good question. So I'd like to go ahead and transition into what, to me, the bigger story, a bigger story, Lane Kiffin being courted by LSU in Florida, but not just that, all of the coaches that have been fired. Because James Franklin got fired.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and now he just signed with Virginia Tech.
And then everybody's talking about, okay, I'm sorry. Everybody's always talking about money that a coach gets. Okay, coaches have been coaching for a long time. Already have people. They got the boat. They got the place in Hawaii. They got the big house. They got the cars. All they're doing is stacking money. They're not young coaches. So you pay him $9 million. Who cares? He's already got $90 million in the bank.
I guess I don't see it from that perspective.
Everybody was talking about how much money he's making in Virginia Tech. He's already getting paid. It's not about money. It's about him coaching.
Yeah, and can he turn it around the same way he did Vanderbilt? And I thought he did a great job at Penn State.
He just didn't win big games. And
so my issue with them firing Coach Franklin is
I didn't get that far.
I didn't get it.
He made it to the championship game. He got to the
Final Four.
He won big games. He did this. He did that. I don't get it. And then, okay, so 11 years, he made it to the championship game. Okay, he didn't win a championship. I get it. But you let Paterno coach there 40 years, and in 40 years he only won 2 championships, and now you want to raise the standard with this coach. Okay, hold on. We had this talk in Limerick. The difference is Paterno was always there. Okay, when they talk about the University of Kentucky winning championship, University of Kentucky only got how many championships?
None.
No, in basketball. Baby.
Oh, in basketball. I thought we were talking football.
Okay.
So
I'm making the
so basketball we have only 8.
Okay, but here's the thing: that they're known as a powerhouse. It's because winning championships is hard, but putting yourself in position, like how did Rick Pitino become the guru? He only won 1 championship, but he was always in a championship game. He's always in a Final Four. It is so hard. People don't understand how hard that is to get to a Final Four.
And Franklin got to a Final Four.
But what I'm
college football playoffs.
But my point is, Terry, you talked about, to me, a legend coach. So is he always had his team there.
Okay.
Because nobody, look at us in middle school. We've been there.
Until this year,
but we've been there.
Yes.
Every year we were competitive, we were fighting, and we got mad love throughout the community for that. Because you can't keep doing it with different players every year. It ain't NFL. We can sign them to a 10-year contract. In this case, they're in a 4-year contract. Well, now they're in a 1 year because they could be gone. So my thing is with the Franklin thing was, I was sorry he left, but I'm blessed that he's still coaching, and he's blessed he's still coaching.
So Mr. Brown, you're saying there are two competing factors in sports. Athletes making big money and not playing hard for coaches is leading them to be removed as coaches.
No, I just think it's to me, Mr. Brown, good question.
Great question. I just think that they started the system off wrong.
Well, based on his question, I'm just saying that athletes has always did what they did. The ones that play hard, play hard. The ones that have a 50-inch vertical, if they decide not to play hard, they didn't play hard. The only difference is now they're getting paid and people are saying, wait a second, now you're getting paid to play hard. That's the same kid that didn't play hard. He just happened to be athletic. And that's what people don't understand. You can run and jump, but if you do not show it in a game, nobody cares. But now you're getting paid in college. Now everybody cares. I mean, there's a lot of guys. We had a gentleman that played with me back in the day. I'm not going to say his name, I'm going to disrespect him. It's my boy.
Mm-hmm.
He ran a 4.2.
And you said he couldn't catch a cold.
He ran a 4.2.
Mm-hmm.
4.2. But here's the difference. If he ran a 4.2 in 2025 and he's making $1 million, everybody in the world will know he runs a 4.2 and can't catch a cold. That was the only difference. I'm done.
You're done?
Thank you for letting me rant. You did get quiet. You like, oh, he's on one of his little ramps. She has to go through this.
It's okay. I mean, you know, it
is. The mic over here?
I didn't realize I had the mic over there. Larry didn't say that.
Ain't been here.
No, y'all have been able to hear us. I didn't realize the mic was over here. Wasn't even paying any attention. Okay. Well, what else, Coach Bryant? We got high school playoffs this weekend.
We got high school playoffs.
Frederick Douglass is in the final. Is this the final four? What is it? The Lead Eight? Lead Eight.
They play Rouse. Rouse got a guy.
Is this the 6'6" kid?
I don't know if he's 6'6" or what it is.
From Aliquippa, PA.
Aliquippa, PA. What up, Stacey Burrell? Okay, but with that said, this is that guy. He's that guy. This young man is amazing.
He's like the Michael Mayer from back in the day.
Back in the day, and I'm looking forward to it. We got the game on Glycod. Check it out. Okay, 7:30 kickoff at the farm. He is his stats. I haven't seen him. I watched a little bit of him today, but then I got busy at work, couldn't watch him. So I'm looking forward to watching him late tomorrow night, and tonight, I guess, for tomorrow night. Excuse me. And I'm looking forward to it. This young man has 1,200 plus rushing yards, 200, almost 300 yards receiving yards, 103 tackles on defense. I mean, I'm like, wow, I'm looking forward to watching this young man play and then Frederick Douglass, I'm going to have to give him their props. They're still representing us.
They're still representing Lexington.
And people
can say whatever the heck they want to say. They've got to respect that. They represent Lexington
Coach
sports.
McPeak and his OC and DC, that program's done
fantastic.
And they went in with different players.
Yes.
And we call it like.
I mean, our nephew is doing a good
job. Lexington people dog Frederick Douglass.
Yes.
But give Boyle County love. Wait a second, ain't they doing the same thing? I mean, come on. You gotta respect. I mean, stop. And young man, he played for Frederick Douglass. He puts Lexington on the map when they do what they do. And people get on me saying I'm a Frederick Douglass fan. Mm-hmm. Well, excuse me, we coach at where?
At Crawford Middle School.
What does our kids play for?
Frederick Douglass.
And am I supposed to care about them?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and those are a lot of them are our kids that still play up and down from kids that we've had from 6th grade are playing varsity and are starting at Frederick Douglass. So why are we not? And that's our feeder school. Our job is to feed them. Yes. So why would we not want them to be successful? Because it makes us look good as coaches when our kids go to the next level. Yes. And they're being successful at one of the best programs in the state.
One of the best programs in the state.
You know, and we got kids now that are in college right now.
I had to throw this in. One of the best programs in the state, like those Bowling Green programs. Okay. I had to throw that in. You know, I got to throw my purpose in.
Well, I'm enjoying the fact that a lot of our kids that we've coached are going on and they're getting offers. We got a couple that went to Woodford County that both are playing in college right now.
Yes.
And
not just Frederick Douglass.
Not just Frederick Douglass, but they go to different schools.
They go to different schools. We got a few in Bourbon County. You know, doing their thing. I mean, if the community got to understand, that's what you want.
And that's what you want.
That's what you want because, you know, I love hats. I wear hats. I wear hats all the time.
I like hats too.
I got Taste Creek. I got Henry Clay. I got Lafayette. I got Bryant Station. I got a Sir hat. I need to talk
You need a Sir hat?
I need a Sir hat.
And you got a lot of Dunbar hats.
I got a lot of Dunbar because I coached there.
I know.
You know, and so every school in Fayette County, I've got a hat. You know, and I got a, Lexington Christian and Lexington Catholic. I got a hat. I need a Sir hat.
You need a Sir hat.
I need a Sir hat.
You know, and so, and we have, I like to say nephews, we got nephews because our nephew, Burbage, is plays for Lexington Christian, right?
Yes. Yeah. Doing his thing.
And we are going to root for him.
And his son's on the right side of the ball. Thank you. He's a DB. So I'm just saying, because Bird be trying to influence him. Put him on that other side of the ball.
Gotcha.
So,
well, what else you got? Is that all you got?
No,
early today.
But no, we're good. We're good. I mean, we had a great guest on, and
great guest.
He's
the best.
But you didn't tell me. You didn't finish up. Maybe I cut you off, and I apologize. What do you about the rankings? I mean,
what did I think about the rankings? I think this is somebody made it. I think in one of my women's groups they did that, and I told her I think it's unfair because a lot of people don't like the SEC. The thing about the SEC this time of the year is the SEC is beat up because they have to play each other every week.
Right. And then when you try to explain that to Ohio
people
State
don't,
people,
they don't get that because you're not playing against a top 25 team every week. Kentucky was the third hardest schedule in the nation. And we're 5-5 with the third hardest schedule in the nation. We had 6 top 25 teams on our schedule.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna lie, we should have beat Texas, who's now ranked?
Should beat Ole Miss.
We should have beat Ole Miss, who's in the top 12.
Who's gonna make
the playoffs? Right. Same thing with last year. Last year we went 4-8, but the three teams that made the championship playoffs last year, we should have beat. We were only 2 or 3 plays away from winning those games.
But it comes down to when I say that, and everybody that's listening, I'm not negative in Ohio State. They got a great money team. They can choose their players. They have always won. But I love Oklahoma. They was real. They don't stay in a fantasy world. Mm-hmm. They were real. They said playing in the SEC was a big adjustment. Because we usually in the whirlpool, like he said.
Yeah, we're usually in the whirlpool
on Saturday night,
and then
Sunday morning,
we good,
and then we're good. He said we was in the whirlpool, and then we got to get up and do it again, and it's nothing against Ohio State by no means, but guys, you play a schedule, and then if you play a good team, let's be real, you have a bye week. To recover, and I think that's the same thing even with Indiana. I want to know what their injury, because they ain't got no injury. They don't play the whole game.
And everybody puts out an injury report, and I never looked at it, but I would love to see what their injury report. Larry did a great job of looking. I should pull up our injury report now because again, the game before we lost three major defensive guys.
And because they're getting banged up. They're getting 100% banged up. And I just tell people it makes a difference. You can stay in your little world all you want, but be knowledgeable. The only people that feels what you're saying, if you're a Buckeye fan, is a Buckeye fan. Nobody else outside understands, because they're going, you're going to get to the playoffs. You're not going to get knocked off, but Alabama gets knocked off. They're one of the top teams in the nation. And that's what happens when you go in the SEC. Then you got to worry about going in the SEC the next week. I mean, the only person can knock off Ohio State is Ohio State. I can't wait when they play Indiana. If Indiana is as good as they are, because Ohio State is good. That's not saying enough. They're going to the playoff healthy. All their starters will be healthy because they don't play a whole game. And they're talented. They go to the NFL, and then they will reload again, because that's Ohio State. They always done that. And nobody's taking that away from them. Ohio State can handle, they could be in the SEC. They may not go undefeated, but they will be one of the top teams in the SEC because they're good. They've always been good. Has nothing to do with 2025. The Buckeyes has always been good.
Douglas running back Talbot is a D1 player. So I asked, was he like Kentucky D1 or is he mid-major D1? And I was told that he was too small. But my thing is, when I look at a McGowan or when I look at a Ray Davis, isn't he stocky like them? But I was told that he wasn't, that he was smaller than them. The Big Ten won 2 natties in a row. The SEC must recapture that championship.
Okay.
And again, I think the problem with that, again, the only reason why we'll lose is going to be the point. It's going to be because they don't have, because of the NIL, SEC teams, especially like the Georgias and the Alabamas, don't have the depth that they used to have. So that when, somebody comes out, the fall off isn't like this. Like that happens at Kentucky. When we have to go to our seconds, our 2s and 3s, well, it's a major fall off.
But Mr. Brown, I just mentioned that. But here's the thing about it is, Kentucky is in their secondary. I'm just using our hometown. They're playing the third string.
Yeah.
Because their guys are
hurt. Yeah.
They're hurt. So it makes a big difference, because you can say the name on the front, but there's a reason why that guy's coming in, because the other guys may be a little bit better, and he's starting. And okay, so when I played, the biggest thing is we could hang with that first unit, then they're bringing in their second unit was just as good as us. And that's like the Coach Bryant, she just said, is that second unit makes a difference why Alabama was always so powerful, why Ohio State is powerful. But Ohio State don't get challenged, and I'm not dogging them. They don't get challenged to see their second string.
Every week.
They don't get challenged. So the first string blows the lead out because they're that much better than their competition. Then the second string comes in and maintains. And that's just the way it's going to be. Because right now, the SEC, Mr. Brown, the SEC and the Big Ten is looking to play each other during the regular season. Plus, the SEC is going to a 9-game. So the SEC going to a 9-game and the Big Ten going to a 9-game is a big difference. It's not the same. It's not the same. Because when you got to play Alabama, then come back and play Georgia, then come back and play Ole Miss, and come back and play Texas. Okay, let Ohio State do that.
Yeah, they're not going
to run the table.
They're not going to run the table like that, because you're gonna lose major players just like we've lost major players.
Well, Texas is finding
and Texas is finding that out as well. Because of that. So yeah, and I believe that we'll see super conferences in the future. So because we're down to the Power 4 now. It's no longer a Power 5. So now we're seeing the Power 4. And so and I think they're trying to do a comeback for the Pac-12. I think is trying to make a comeback, and they're trying to solicit and get people back in there. And so we'll see what that looks like. But again, a lot of people hate the SEC and they feel like the SEC is overrated. But again, these couch coaches don't have an idea of what that looks like. Players no longer have to, when you go to Alabama, when you go to Georgia before NIL, you wouldn't play. Now kids want to play right now.
Okay, but let's get it straight. Let's make sure. Kentucky is playing who?
We're playing Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And let's talk.
No, but let me say this. Kentucky's playing Vanderbilt. Minnesota is playing Illinois. Where am I going to do my advertising from? I'm going to do the SEC game.
Oh, because we have the SEC Nation is going to be at
what I'm getting at is
our game.
If Ohio State is playing in Indiana this year, because last year I think it was Illinois, but if Indiana was pretty good last year, yes it was. And if Indiana is playing and Ohio State is playing, then they're gonna pay $2 million for a 15-spot advertising because they know a lot of people are gonna watch. But any other Big Ten games playing, they're not gonna do that. And I'm not being negative; it's the truth. I mean, people can dog it all they want, but the SEC's only got so many teams, but the United States is huge. But a lot of teams that live, when I go to Big Ten, there's no Big Ten network in the SEC. Here, because we're very close to Ohio. But if you go south, you don't get a Big Ten network. But I can go up north and east, and the SEC is on the air.
I mean, a perfect example is we're playing Vanderbilt, who's ranked 14th tomorrow. We've already played Georgia.
They play Rutgers.
And Ohio State plays Rutgers, who has the same record that we have. And I'm trying to think, who has Rutgers played? Let me pull up their schedule real quick. And if you look at their schedule, let me see.
But Ohio State's defense Ohio State's good. I've said that 7 times.
And they're good. Don't get me wrong. They played Illinois. They beat Maryland. So they got Ohio State and Penn State back to back, but Penn State is 4-6 after they play Ohio State. They beat Purdue. They got blown out by Oregon. They got beat by Washington. They got beat by Minnesota. They got, they lost to Iowa. Again, they're not, the big game that they had was against Michael Vick and Norfolk State, 60-10, with a new program, with a new coach. You know what I mean? And so where Rutgers played Norfolk State was their biggest win, and so, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. They don't play, again, they don't play anybody. I mean, even if I look at Ohio State's schedule, let's look at their full schedule. And I'm not hating on them. Please don't think that I'm hating on them. Okay, what happened to Ohio State? Here we go. I keep pulling up Rutgers. It won't give me Ohio State. And Ohio State is a 31-point favor against Rutgers on Saturday.
Now, what team is ever a 31-point in the SEC?
I mean, even when we played against teams in the SEC, we've never been
14,
and our record is the same as Rutgers. Yeah, 30. But there's a 31-point. Here I finally got it. Golly.
We need to get off this stuff.
We need to get off. I know they played Grambling. Okay, they play Miami of Ohio. This is Ohio State. Their schedule. Washington, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin, blew out Wisconsin. They blew out everybody. Penn State, Purdue, again, UCLA. And then when you go and look at, and let me look at these teams. The only team that they played that's ranked is Illinois. That's ranked like 17. They beat Texas when Texas was number 1
at the beginning of the season.
At the beginning of the season,
Ohio State,
right? And so
makes a big difference.
Yeah. So
and it was a close game. They didn't.
Oh, it was
Texas
they didn't blow Texas out. It was a one. So that was
Texas
that
had
could
a
have
chance
went.
to win it.
Texas had a chance to win it. Yeah, Texas had a chance to win. It was only one touchdown.
And that's when the first big start for Manning.
Yes,
that was his first big start. Now, if the other quarterback was there, who's been there for 2 years, that would have been different.
Okay.
Now, play Texas now.
Right. So based off of Ohio State's schedule, I only see. Oh, and Penn State was ranked at one time. So 3 teams compared to when you're in the ACC, when you're playing 5 or 6 teams in the SEC, when you're playing 5 or 6 teams that are ranked in the top 25 and that are still ranked.
They're still ranked.
Right. So Penn State is no longer ranked when they blew them out.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is when you're ranked number 1, that's their opinion because you ain't played a game.
Yeah.
And so my biggest thing is when people do a comparison, Ohio State could win back-to-back state titles.
State championship, yeah.
Because they are good.
They're good.
They're very good. And then if you hit, like last year, they beat 2 SEC schools. But look at the depth chart of the SEC when they played Tennessee. Look at who didn't play.
Right.
It's so like playing an SEC team in a bowl game. When I said that to somebody, you play an SEC team in the bowl game, you're getting the name on the front.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the SEC players don't play because they go in the NFL. So they don't play. It don't mean that much to them. They try to make sure they don't get hurt. They play their 20 games, and by the way, it's about education, but you got kids playing 14 games. Okay. Save it for Oprah. She'd love to hear it.
I mean, and Mr. Brown, I get that we're speaking to the choir because we're in the SEC, and so we're a little bit more biased because we see it. We're able to but we're living it. We get to see it every week. Hold on. And I love your point about SEC has more Heisman winners in the last 20 years than any other conference. And SEC has put more players in the NFL than any other conference. The SEC has led just about, up until these last couple of years, has dominated the national championships. Besides, again, Clemson got sprinkled in here and there, and a couple other teams got sprinkled in here and there. But most of the time,
Clemson.
Yeah, sprinkled them in here and there. The SEC bias is heavy across the nation. Oh, I totally agree that the SEC bias is heavy across the nation. But again, when you're playing, when we're living it, when you're playing a team that is, again, we had the 3rd hardest schedule in the nation. And if you look at the strength of schedule for most of the teams, most of the SEC teams, their strength of schedule is the highest. That's why they should be.
Nobody is worried
4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay, this new poll comes out. Nobody cares.
And nobody cares.
Because the reason why the SEC is always going to beat each other up.
Yes.
To move. I mean, like last year, Boise State. Seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
But the SEC beat each other so they could move up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fact. Eventually these teams got to play each other. They got to play each other. And they're going to beat each other up and then you go in and then you got to get ready again. So, but it's going to be fun coming down to the stretch. Just like this weekend, everybody was talking about Tennessee Tech. Mm-hmm. And no disrespect, Tennessee Tech decided they didn't really want to play the 4th quarter. That's a fact. And because it was a big difference of them playing an SEC team, averaging 41 points a game. That ain't happening because there's a difference. And he didn't want his guys getting banged up for winning, having a chance to win,
So I just pulled up our injury report for this upcoming game, and we have 1, 2, 3. These are major players. 3 of them are starters. 3, 4, 5, 6 starters. And I didn't realize Nazar Addison, who we already had lost the 2 corners, so he was coming in at corner for Waller. So Waller is still doubtful. And then we lost Teron, and then Addison was the one that was coming in. So now we still got to find somebody to put them at corner if he's not able to play. So again, and they only have 5 players out. Okay. But I think to go back to the point about when we go back to Vandy and talk about the Vandy game, I think you made one of the best points was the fact that if you look at their schedule, we had 51 new players on our roster. I would like to see, and of the ones that returned, most of them were either like redshirt or freshmen. They weren't starters. Whereas Vandy, if you look at, they almost returned everybody, and their quarterback was supposed to be gone, and they gave him another year, right?
Yeah, and but
is this his 6th or 7th year?
We'll see what Vandy's about next year
when they lose all those players,
some players
that have been there in their
2 to 3 years.
Yes, that have been in their system for 2 to 3 years.
Because the quarterback makes it go. There's no question.
Absolutely.
So, but anyway, I guess we're ready to wrap this up.
But you're right, Coach Jack. The SEC bias is heavy across the nation. I get it, and mostly it's people that are outside the SEC that can't stand the SEC.
No, you don't stand something that's popular, and you try to make yourself relevant. And I say it all the time. You know, like none against Tennessee Tech.
Yeah,
they're a great team,
but they
stay on your porch.
Yeah,
when they came off their porch and they were 10-0, the
15-game winning streak.
You know, and the fans were going crazy. They was up in that corner. They made a play in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they realized, wait a second,
it got real.
Now let them turn around and play another
SEC team. Yeah,
they're gonna be beat up more, and the coach didn't want that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that teams can't beat the SEC. Yes, they can. They got talent everywhere, especially when you pay them. I mean, you know, like people care about getting paid for the moment and not winning for the later. And that's a fact. I don't care what nobody.
You said, what about TCU? Is TCU a part of the – did they get chosen?
TCU.
Oh, last year when TCU got blown out by Georgia, is that what you're talking about? When they were like the number 2 team or whatever. And then when you – yes, Jag, yes. And then, again, that was embarrassing. To me, that was a perfect example of the difference between the SEC and other schools because everybody was talking about just how good they thought that TCU won. They won the Big 12, right? Yeah, they won the Big 12. So everybody thought, and they had only lost 1 game. But again, their schedule was not the SEC schedule that Georgia had. And they found that out when they went against the SEC and got blown out.
When they played, then that school, the SEC school, had a week to recover. That makes a difference because they got a bye, you know, and before they did this bracket, you had 3 weeks,
to get ready,
to get healthy. And that's the reason why a lot of times the SEC was healthy at that time. But now you got to play back to back to back to back. Then you got to play, you know, I know they make so much money in the championship game. It pays a lot of bills for a lot of people that work. So if you get rid of it, I just wish they got rid of the championship game, the SEC championship game. But they're not because they make too much money.
Okay.
And they feed a lot of people because a lot of people work. So I'm not saying take money off of people's couch, but if you get rid of a game and you go up to, like right now, what did they play? 12 games? So if you win the championship, you're playing 15?
Yeah.
That's an NFL schedule.
Yeah.
That's an NFL schedule. So, but anyway.
Okay. Ready? Yeah, I'm ready. We got to go to bed.
Yeah, we got to go to bed. Well, I ain't got to go to bed.
Why not?
I just don't have to.
You ain't got to work tomorrow?
I got to work every day.
It must be nice to not have to be up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm up. You up, I'm up. You know, on that door. She does that to me.
Anyway, thanks, Jag. I appreciate that. Yeah, if they go to a 9-conference schedule, we're losing Louisville. I think they're going to keep Louisville on the schedule.
Well, I think Louisville needs to go back to when they played Sanders. When they played back in the day, they played first. that was the first game of the season. So that's not unusual.
Back in the day, yeah.
That's not unusual. Play first game of the season if you want to keep that Louisville rivalry going. But I mean, you keeping it just for the hope, but it's about wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to, to give us a chance. I think we need to get rid of the SEC championship game.
Ain't gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen because they make too much money off of it.
Well, not just them, but it's a lot of jobs. I mean, people that's in the concession stand, people that parking cars, people that's selling tickets, people that's like in UK, the blue coats.
Yeah.
They're not volunteering.
That I heard they were the ones in the blue coats are.
The blue coats are volunteering. Yeah. They work hard.
They work really hard to be volunteering.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give them credit.
Yeah, that's it. Well, listen, great show, Coach Bryant. I appreciate you being on. We gotta your sister was texting and our son was texting, and we gotta handle some business real quick. So next week, guys, we got Coach Joker Phillips will be on, and I'm looking forward to that.
Thank Simpson legend. Now, I hope he's listening.
He's not listening. He ain't got time.
Okay, but if he is, my big question is, who's the best player ever came out of Franklin Simpson?
Oh, that's gonna be interesting.
That's gonna be a good question.
That's gonna be a good question.
Because it ain't Gary Bird.
Yeah, basketball, we dominate. Florida won the championship in basketball. SC Divine's big, faster, stronger to include track. Oh yeah, we dominate in track. Florida, LSU, and Kentucky has made their mark. Arkansas. Those three schools have dominated track over the years. Those three schools, definitely the SEC, definitely dominates in track, and our women's volleyball team just won their 9th consecutive SEC championship, I believe, and and the SEC also dominates in volleyball and in women's basketball. So outside of UConn and Stanford for women's basketball, the SEC conference also dominates women's basketball. So, and can we go baseball? SEC also dominates baseball. I mean, the SEC dominates.
Michigan snuck in there one time.
Yeah,
and that's pretty good when Michigan won it.
So
it's like 2 degrees when they.
Yeah, so we're not just talking about SEC dominating just football, but they also dominate in other major sports as well. So people can kick rocks when it comes to that SEC bias. So we're out of here. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all
Mr.
coming
Brown,
on.
appreciate you always. Sanders, appreciate you.
Yeah, y'all appreciate you.
Dunn, appreciate you.
Mr. Dunn. Did I get all Dunn's? Carl Keenum came on. Coach Dunn, did we get all your stuff, all your questions and stuff? I know you said we talked about, they need to do what they got to do. They got to do what they got to do, Coach Dunn.
What's that? They're talking about the before coaches and players playing and making. Well,
players got to make plays. You're absolutely right.
I say it all the time.
You're absolutely right, Coach Dunn.
Do I say it all the time?
Yeah, you said players got to make plays.
Players got to make plays. Like big time players, as the U used to say.
Big time players make big time.
Big time players step up in big time moments. That's
what big time players do. Listen, we'll be back and we'll see y'all again next week. So Tuesday, y'all know if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm on here real quick. I think we're moving the time to 7:00 because I do a NFC East women's at 8:00 of that same day. So we might have to move the Dallas Cowboys up to 7:00 as opposed to 7:30 because we're getting it done real quick. And with that being said, we love y'all. And
go Niners.
How about them Cowboys with that win?
Hey, and I'm sorry. Go Cats.
And go Cats. See y'all. Love you.